5:42 a.m. Cold air from the river. Ground smells like metal and smoke. This is Evan Marlowe, broadcasting from the east side of Pittsburgh on 5:40 a.m. if the tower holds, and on shortwave 7.490 megahertz if the skip is kind. The room is small, and the paint on the window frame is flaking. My fingers are numb. It's late September, sun not up yet. The sky is gray with a brown edge toward the horizon. If you just tuned in by accident, if you were turning the dial looking for music or traffic, you're not going to find either. I don't have a jingle. I don't have a sponsor. I have a rig that I stared at for years and never touched like this, and I have a cable running out through a busted pane into a homemade antenna strung between a bare maple and a bent TV mast. The city sounds wrong. No buses, no trash trucks, only a far siren that stops fast, and a thumping somewhere upriver that might be a generator that's about to give up. It smells like hot coins when I open the door, and when the wind shifts, you can taste grit. You know what happened, or you think you do. I'll tell you what I saw. I'll tell you what I heard. I'll tell you what I've been told by people who had names and jobs last week and now use first names and burner phones. Stay on this frequency if you can. If the signal fades, try the shortwave. If both go, try 462.675 on GMRS. Try anything that buzzes or hisses. We're stitching a blanket from bad thread and hoping it holds. The first thing that felt wrong wasn't a siren or a flash. It was the airport board not changing. Pittsburgh International usually flips rows in the early morning. The arrivals and departures click over like shuffling cards. Yesterday, just before dawn, they froze. System refresh. A guy with a yellow vest told me when I was there dropping off a cousin for a connecting flight. He said it like a brush off. Behind him, a TSA supervisor stood stiff, polling her phone with her thumb, frowning at nothing. I kept seeing the same flight to O'Hare delayed, same flight to LaGuardia delayed, same flight to Atlanta delayed, time sliding forward, but the words not keeping up. A woman in a red coat walked up to the counter and said she needed to get to Denver because her mother was having surgery. The agent pasted on the smile that agents paste on when they've got nothing to give and told her to hang tight. Then the line of taxis outside got longer and stopped moving because the card readers were down and cash was suddenly king and no one had enough of it. That was before people started filming the sky in other time zones. By mid-morning, the first videos were traveling on group chats that still had juice. A bright bloom over the ocean that didn't look like lightning. A shock wave that kicked dust off a parking lot in Norfolk. And then a line of cars stopped hard in the middle of a freeway. Like the drivers had all agreed they were out of ideas. A voice note from my friend Alan, who used to work at a local NBC affiliate, said their EAS box, the one they test on Wednesdays with that warble that makes you glance at the ceiling, lit up with a national code he had never seen. The text on the little screen didn't say tornado or amber alert. It said NPT in a way that wasn't a test. A few minutes later, the TV went black and stayed that way. A scrolling crawl on one station tried to run on emergency batteries and then choked, repeating the same 5 words. Shelter. Stay indoors. Await instructions. No voiceover. No face. Just those words, like a slogan for a government that had left the building. The rumors came with different accents. An Air Force tech from Wright-Patterson calling into a hamnet said 4 birds went up, then 8. Then something else that wasn't ours. He used call signs so clean and clipped I believed him. A guy with a Baltimore drawl said the inner harbor shook like a train was breaking on the roof. A woman in Spokane whispered into the mic of a cheap handheld and said she'd seen a light to the south beyond the hills, and then every radio station turned to hash. Someone in New Jersey kept repeating, "It was at sea, it was offshore, it was offshore," as if saying it made the border between water and land a wall against fallout or fear. My cousin never boarded her flight. She went home, turned all the knobs on her stove to make sure the gas was off, then called me and asked if she should fill the tub. I told her yes. If you're listening now, fill it. Anything that holds water. You can strain it later with a t-shirt. You'll be glad you did. At noon, the phones in the newsroom where Alan used to work rang all at once, and then stopped all at once. A reporter I know who usually jokes through anything lost her voice on the line with me and said, "It's not like the movies. It's quiet." I went outside and the sky looked like it had a bruise. Distant thunder without lightning. 2 helicopters headed west, white and fast. One had a mark that looked like a DHS patch, unless I'm wrong. Maybe I am. You find out how often you were sure of things that weren't true when your city creaks like a ship. Traffic lights blinked red in 4 directions. Milk and bread and batteries vanished from the corner store while the owner tried to count change by hand and couldn't do the math because his brain was stuck on the words he heard the night before. DEFCON changed. He didn't know the number. He just knew the word changed. At 2 in the afternoon, the grid hiccuped, came back, and then went. The streetlights came on in daylight and stayed on for 10 minutes while everything else dimmed. Then the lights gave up too. You could hear the building's old pipes tick as pressure wandered. Those of you in houses with gas furnaces heard the blower fans try to save you and then fail. Freezers hummed and then exhaled and went still. Someone on the block yelled at someone else for using a generator because you'll draw them. Who them was, he couldn't say. He meant attention. He meant people with empty hands and hot eyes. In the stairwell of my building, an old man sat on the step like it was a church pew and said he'd been in the Missile Age, and it felt like that again. He didn't look at me when he said it, like he was telling someone in front of him that he'd never forgiven for leaving him alone with silence. By sunset, the first real word that was more than rumor came over NOAA weather radio, of all things. A monotone that sounded like it had been recorded 3 hurricanes ago said major urban centers had been struck in limited but significant events across multiple theaters. It did not name them. It said to remain indoors, to seal doors and windows with plastic sheeting if available, to turn off ventilation systems. It told anyone with potassium iodide tablets to take the recommended dose for their age. It told you to keep pets inside. It did not tell you who had done what to whom. It did not say if this was the first wave or the only wave. It looped once, twice, 3 times, and then someone cut it off like they'd realized they were saying too much or not enough. You don't realize how much you want someone in a tie to explain your life until the tie is gone, and the only voice you get is a weather robot reading a script that smells like stale printer ink. Overnight, I kept the rig running on a car battery and a solar panel the size of a doormat. I used to think the panel was for camping. It's for this. If you've got one, pull it from the garage even if the sky is ugly. It adds up. I taped a piece of cardboard to the window glass to keep the light from leaking out because in the apartments across the street, the only windows that glowed were a few phones held up by hands, slowly losing hope. Every hour on the hour, I repeated the same basic list. Water, bleach, a bucket, duct tape, towels, food you don't have to cook, a radio that takes batteries, a first aid kit with more gauze than you think you'll need. I said, if you're on any meds that you can't stop, Ration them like you would a rare spice, and write down the times you take them on paper, because the clock on your stove doesn't mean anything now. The first hard call came at 1:13 from a man who said his name was Victor in Toledo. He called on the GMRS frequency, and I patched it through crudely to the AM side. He said, "We saw the flash to the north, but we didn't hear it. And after that, the hospital that still had power took people outside because of something with the vents. They lined them up on the lawn with blankets, and then they told family to go home." He said he hadn't seen a cop car since afternoon. He said his neighbor started to walk to the grocery at dusk and came back 10 minutes later with a black smear under his nose from where he'd fallen down in the parking lot when someone pushed him. He said he was sorry he didn't help more people earlier, and then he cried through his teeth and hung up, and I stared at the board like it had answers written on it. If you're in Toledo, and you know of Victor with a stutter when he gets upset, tell him he's not the only one who panicked. Tell him that the way you feel is not a flaw. It's a system trying to save your heart from breaking under a weight no one asked for. At 3:04, an email came in on a spare laptop that's on 2 layers of surge protection and a prayer. The subject line was blank. The sender's address was a string of numbers. The first sentence said, "We did not stand down." The second said, "We did not fire first." It wasn't bravado. It was almost tired. It referenced units by number that I didn't recognize. It said, "Intercepts of inbound confirmed, casualties high." It said, "Secondary detonations near ports suggest sabotage or pre-placed devices." It said, "Primary hits against known command nodes and decoys." And then it said a thing that stuck in my throat. "We are not as blind as they think, but we are bleeding." I don't know if it was a soldier or a liar. I only know liars tend to brag, and this felt like a man staring at the floor while he confessed he had run out of bandages. I read it twice, and then I unplugged the cable and shut the lid. You'd think panic would be loud. It's not. Panic in a city with no power is 1,000 small sounds that don't fit together. A metal gate rattling in an alley. A dog refusing to bark but whining low, ears back. Feet on stairs that take breaks. Private crying stifled in a pillow. A car door opened and then closed so slowly it squeaks only at the end. A generator coughing and then going silent because the gasoline you thought would last 2 days lasted 9 hours. The nearest thing to loud is when someone swears, because a flashlight's last strength was wasted checking a drawer full of dead batteries. In that silence, you hear your own thoughts, too clear, and they don't feel like friends. So I talk. I keep talking. If you're alone, I'm with you. If you're 2 or 3, put the radio in the middle of the room and let my voice hold the space between you. Make a map of your block on the back of a cereal box while you listen. Mark who's there, who's gone, who's sick, who's strong. The first plan is the best plan because the second plan will not be the one you get to use. Let me log what we know, what we think, and what is probably just the air hissing through broken seals. We know there were multiple detonations, some at sea, some on land. We know some were intercepted because if they weren't, we wouldn't be having this talk. We know the phones stagger and sometimes come back like a drunk who insists he's fine. We know the internet is a patchwork. Big sites show you cached pages with smiling ads for winter clothes while the world warms in the wrong way. We know the feds told us to shelter and then went quiet. Whether they're underground, overwhelmed, or gagged by their own filters, I won't guess. We know the military is moving. We can hear the C-17s when the wind is right. We know trains still run in places, heavy and slow, carrying something that rattles like chains. We know there are fires you can't call about. We know you feel like the air itself is untrustworthy. Here are the theories from the people who usually speak in acronyms. One says there was a decapitation strike aimed at breaking command and control, timed with cyber on the big grids to force long outages even where no blast hit. One says that a handful of ports were seeded with devices and containers that came in under flags we thought were friendly, meant to go off when a signal hit. One says a rogue state was used as a mask. Another says the biggest player did it straight up and will lie later, because when the world is this messy, lies are cheap. A man who claims he used to work on early warning says we were lit up. Then they went quiet, like a test to watch our reaction time. Then the first hits, then quiet again as if someone was counting our breaths. He says we still have teeth. He says the word triad as if it means something reassuring. It doesn't to the woman in a basement in Dayton trying to open a child-proof cap on a bottle of pills in the dark. What matters to her is that the city water stopped and the battery in the baby monitor died. I will tell you what to do, even if my voice shakes when I say it. Tape the cracks with whatever tape you have. If you have the heavy stuff, use that. But don't wait to find it. Check the wind direction if you can. If you have a weather app that still renders a crude arrow, fine. If not, go outside only long enough to lick a finger and hold it up and feel the cold side. That's the wind. Rub ash off if it lands on you. Keep clothing in a bag if you go out and back in. Don't burn anything inside that eats your oxygen unless you know the room can breathe without letting the dust in. People will die of stupid things because the smart things are too big. Don't die of a stupid thing. Don't light a charcoal grill in your living room. Don't run a generator in a garage thinking a cracked door will save you. Don't drive under a half-fallen stoplight that sways like a metronome for a song that ended yesterday. Wait. Look up. The risks are in places you never had to look before. At 4:07, I caught a hop on the shortwave from a voice in Lincoln, Nebraska. The man said his name was Tyler, but his breath sounded like he'd been sprinting. He said the base east of town was locked so hard that even bird shadows couldn't get in. He said men at the fences wore gear that looked like they were ready for more than a riot. He said he used to work maintenance on the old Minuteman sites out in the fields, and he drove past one that had always looked like a bump in the earth. Last night, the bump had lights. He didn't stop. He said, "If you're in the low places and the wind is out of the west, do not go outside. The dust is bitter." He said the pharmacy lines were long at noon and gone at 9 because they'd been emptied. He said he took 6 bottles of saline nose spray and a box of children's vitamins and left $40 on the counter, though no one asked him to. He said he didn't know if that made him a thief or a neighbor. I told him it made him both, and that both would have to do for a while. He laughed once, and it sounded like he'd touched a hot stove. For those of you who need something useful to do right now, here's a list while the battery holds steady. Inventory your food. Not what you wish you had, what you actually have. Write it down. Count the meals, not the items. A can of beans is a meal. A bag of rice is 8 meals if you're careful and can cook it. If you can't cook it because your stove is dead and your grill is outside and you're sealing windows, stop and think. You don't need hot to live. Warm helps. Hot is a luxury. It will be a memory for a bit. Fill containers with water. Fill the tub if you haven't. Check on the person downstairs who never leaves. They might not know to fill a tub. Share a roll of tape with someone who has none. If you have a vehicle, bleed a little fuel into a can and mark it for the generator, not the joyride to nowhere. If you think you can leave the city for the cabin, ask yourself 3 questions. Do you have enough fuel to get there without stopping? Do you know for a fact that cabin is empty and safe? And do you have 2 alternate routes that avoid bridges you've never looked at before? If you can't say yes to all 3, stay. I know staying feels like doing nothing. It isn't. It's 5:58 now and the light outside is a thin stripe. The Ohio River looks sick. There's a film on it that catches red where it should catch gold. Downriver, the mills are quiet, and the smoke that still rises is thin and gray like breath on a cold morning. My hands shake when I pick up the mug because I haven't slept. You can hear it. You can always hear it. I'm trying to keep my voice calm because panic spreads faster than any cloud. I am not brave. I'm stubborn. My dad said once that our people didn't know how to leave well. We stayed. We kept keys for buildings we no longer owned. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe I can't leave this transmitter. Maybe that's fine. If you're in earshot, write down the frequencies on your wall. 5:40 a.m. if the tower holds. 7.490 megahertz on shortwave. GMRS 462.675 for check-ins at the top of the hour. If the phones are up in a burst, text 41255500148 with your city and a short line about conditions. I can't answer everyone, but I can read out what matters and who needs what. If you send a rumor, I'll mark it as one. If you send truth, I'll repeat it until my tongue dries. We're going to take calls now. Not because it feels good, though it might, but because this is how we rebuild a picture of a country someone tried to shatter. We will build it with your voices that clip and crackle and sometimes fail. It's ugly. It's real. You're live if you hear me say your name. Name's Regina, a woman says, voice flat like she's been awake since Tuesday. I'm in Newark. Yesterday, you could see a glow out past the airport, but then something dimmed, like a hand over a lamp. She stops. I can hear a baby in the background and the tap-tap of a ring against a counter. They said to shelter. The building manager slid flyers under doors. The flyers were half-printed. You can smell plastic in the stairway. The water is brown. Not like rusty brown. Like tea. We're letting it sit. Coffee filters help a little. My cousin works at Port Newark, and he said you wouldn't believe the crates that split open when the cranes stopped. Fruit rotting fast. Meat going rank. I've got 6 neighbors here. We're sharing. The guy across the hall had 6 gallons of water just because he's a prepper, he said. I rolled my eyes at him last week. I apologized last night. She takes a breath. If anyone's listening who knows if the wind is shifting in Jersey, text this station. I put tape on the windows, but the smell still gets through. I tell her what I know. The wind overnight was from the south-southwest. If it holds, Newark's mess is more refinery stink than anything worse, but that could change. If anyone on the other end of this signal has a backyard weather station that's still chirping, send me your arrow readings, your gusts, your simple words. Don't send me maps I can't load. Tell me which way the leaves lean, and if the rain on your porch left a ring. Next is a man named Caleb in Kenosha. His little city has lived through its own kind of strain, and now he says the lake looks like it swallowed a nightlight and forgot to turn it off. It's the refinery across, he says. No one's answering. I can't tell if they shut it down. The sirens there went this morning at 4 and then stopped. Does that mean they succeeded or died? He thinks he's being dramatic. He isn't. Sirens stop for both best and worst reasons. I tell him to stay upwind if he can, and not to be a hero near anything that hisses. Heroes die on YouTube in peacetime. In war, they die in stairwells where no one films them and where their names blow away with the dust. Take care of your kids first. Take care of the neighbor with the limp. Take care of the guy with the dog, if the dog's eyes are kind. Theories are coming in disguised as family stories. A woman named Priya in Fremont says her uncle in Sunnyvale, who used to do contracts that didn't have company names on them, told her a thing that he made her swear not to repeat. But then she did. So here we are. He said we were blindsided by a layered hit. Kinetic, cyber, and something else he wouldn't name that sounded like space, but wasn't. He said the word dazzle, which is a word I'd only heard in a different life about party lights. He said ground-based systems we rely on were confused on purpose. He said we still have satellites. He said common carriers are compromised, and we should act like anything we send on the big pipes is watched, blocked, or twisted. I don't know. I'm a guy with a transmitter in a small city that used to be famous for metal. I feel ridiculous even thinking about orbital anything when a pipe in my kitchen gurgles like it's swallowing air. But I repeat what I hear if it sounds like it fits the shape of the day. You might expect soldiers in the street. You might want them. I don't know what to tell you, except that a guardsman at an armory we've all driven past said off record to a former classmate that the call-ups came messy, and some went to the wrong phones, and some went to phones at the bottom of rivers. He said they were told to stand by, and then told to move, and then told to stand by again. He said some units made their own decisions, which is a nice way of saying they went with the orders that felt like action. If you see uniforms, don't assume they know more than you. They probably know different. Ask short questions. Is the water safe? Is the hospital accepting? Is the highway open? If the answers are grunts, don't push. They're human. They haven't slept. They got yelled at by someone who hasn't slept either. If someone in a vest tells you to go home, ask if home means your actual address, or just not here. Words are slippery when the lights go out. I'm going to say the word fallout because you're thinking it. If you're near a hit, you'll know by other ways before you know by taste and throat. You will see light you shouldn't see. You will hear highways become parks. If you're far, what you worry about is dust and time. Dust rides wind. Time reduces harm. If you can put something heavy between you and outside, books, water, boxes of tiles, do that. It's not stupid. It's physics. If you have a basement, it's better than your top floor. If you have a hallway in the middle of the building, it's better than a room with windows. I'm not your dad. I just want you here tomorrow, when I do this again. If you have a Geiger counter, I envy you. If you don't borrow trouble by guessing at numbers you can't measure. Use the clock. 12 to 24 hours inside, snug, is the start of wise. 48 is wiser. 3 days makes you someone who can tell the next person what you learned. It's 6:31 now, and the sky is coming up like a bruise turning yellow around the edges. The street below has 2 people in it, both walking alone, both doing that thing where you look up at windows without really wanting to see a face. In the distance, something booms. Not nearby, not far. Could be a derailment. Could be a transformer that held out too long and decided to leave the fight. Could be a thing we'll never know. Not knowing is the new air. You breathe it and it hurts, and you keep breathing. If you're hearing me on an old radio that you bought at a yard sale, bless that ugly plastic. If you're hearing me on a car radio because you burned a gallon for 20 minutes of voice, I won't waste your time. A text comes through from Marinetti. He says Camp Pendleton sounded like thunder last night that never rolled away. He says the sky to the far out went white and then stayed orange for an hour, and he couldn't tell if it was a ship burning or a trick of fog. He says he was told to get on base with ID or stay well away. He says he stayed away, and the neighbors who tried to watch from a bluff got told to go home by men who didn't raise their voices. He says the freeway in San Diego had cars that ran out of gas in the middle lanes, and people left notes on windshields with Sharpies saying, "Borrowed siphon, will repay." He says he saw 2 different men leave cases of water on the sidewalk at the bottom of an apartment stairwell and walk away. I want to cry reading that. I don't. I breathe, and I read it again to you. Because that's a thing to copy. If you can leave water where someone will find it, do it. Tape a note that says, "Drink." Don't make them decide if it's a trap. Don't make them guess if they owe you. Another text, this one from a number with a UK code. The message is short. "We are with you." London in the dark. Sirens last night. Metro closed. People walking home. I don't know if it's true, but the punctuation is tired in a way that feels real. If you're hearing this across the ocean because radio bounces when the layers above the earth wrinkle, know that someone in a river city in America heard your words and said them out loud. Know that our mess might be yours, and your steadiness might be ours. Know that when the lights come back for any of us, the first thing we should do is call each other and compare notes on what we learned. I have to say names, because names matter. Kenny in Moundsville, West Virginia, says the prison lights went out at midnight and then came on at 1, and he hasn't seen anyone run that fast since high school. He says he doesn't know if anyone got out. He says the river looks wrong there too. He says his wife is 8 months along and she's holding on. If someone near Moundsville has a midwife's hands and a heart big enough to knock, find Kenny on Elm, the yellow house with the flag down. He didn't ask me to say that. I decided. Because sometimes we don't wait for permission when someone's need is obvious. If we're wrong, we say sorry, and then we ask how to help properly. We learn fast now, or we don't make it. You wanted a voice that didn't sound like a press conference. You have mine. I'm tired and scared and stubborn. I am not going to give you speeches about resilience. I will tell you that I ate a can of peaches at 2 a.m. standing over my sink, and the syrup tasted like my childhood. And I almost laughed because it felt stupid to be moved by fruit out of a can while the world burned. Then I decided it wasn't stupid. It was the point. If you have a thing that still tastes like joy, ration it. But take a spoon now when the dark talks too loud. Hide the rest. Save something for next week, because there will be a next week if we choose it, and make it, and refuse to be small. I'm going to keep the mic hot while I run a short loop of instructions on the other channel. I can't call it a break, because there's nowhere to go. If you have questions, text them now while the network gods are in a good mood. If you have a success, tell me. If your neighbor shared tape, tell me. If you saw a truck dump water at a church, tell me. If you saw a thing that made you want to lock your door and never open it again, tell me anyway, and I'll say it and then wash it out with something you can use. I will be here at the top of the hour with a list of pharmacies that are open, if any, and an updated wind note. If this tower dies, go to shortwave. If all radio dies, listen in your head to the sound of a voice telling you that you're not done. You're not. Top of the hour is coming. 7 a.m. Sun shows its dirty hand through a smear of cloud. This is Evan Marlowe in Pittsburgh. 5:40 a.m. if I'm lucky. 7.490 megahertz if the sky lets me. Write it on your wall. Tape it to your window. I'll say it until my voice is a dry leaf. If you can hear me, answer by being gentle inside your walls and fierce at your door. Share news, not doom. Trade truth like it's medicine. The tape on my window is holding. My antenna is a mess, but it's up. I'm not going anywhere. 7:03 a.m. The light is weak, and the dust in it looks like ground pepper if you stare too long. This is Evan Marlowe in Pittsburgh on 5:40 a.m. if the tower keeps standing, and on 7.490 megahertz shortwave if you can catch the bounce. GMRS check-ins at 462.675 at the top of each hour for the near crowd. If the signal fades, wait 20 seconds before you move the dial. Sometimes the sky breathes and gives us back a little reach. I'm still on the second floor of a brick building that leaks cold around the frame. I've taped what I can. If you can smell the river where you are, you're not alone. It has that iron note, wet coins and something burnt. Power is still out on my block. A line of cars creeped along Butler Street at dawn, like someone told them the gas station on the corner was open. It wasn't. The owner sat inside on a stool with a flashlight and a shotgun across his lap. And for once, nobody knocked. I'm going to give you weather, wind, and a quick care plan before we open lines. I'll keep it simple. Wind in Allegheny County, light out of the west-southwest at about 6 miles an hour, gusts to 10. If you're east of town, Wilkinsburg, Penn Hills, Monroeville, stay inside if you can. If you must go out, wear long sleeves, hat, and keep a scarf or cloth over your mouth and nose, even if it's just a shirt. It's not perfect, but perfect is a museum word now. Air temps around 51 at 7 a.m., climbing to the low 60s if the sun bothers to show. If you're anywhere downwind of the lakeshore hits or port fires, keep a wet towel rolled against the door crack. Swap it when it dries. Tap water in my building came back in a trickle around 6:10 and went again at 6:18. If yours coughs out anything, catch it. Even if it's brown, let it settle and strain it. Boil if you can. If you can't boil, add unscented bleach. 2 drops per liter, 8 drops per gallon. Shake and let sit half an hour. If the water smells like a pool after that, you put too much. It happens. Let it air in a wide bowl, then pour back. If you have iodine tablets, read the label and go easy. If you have potassium iodide tabs for thyroid blocking, take them only if you're near a hit or told by a real source. Don't dose kids twice because you're scared. Fear is loud. Listen past it. I can't see satellites, but I can hear the quiet they leave. Cell is flickering on some towers, strong for 2 minutes, then gone for 30. If your phone catches a bar, send short texts with city, need, and safe if you're safe. I will read them. If you have a charge bank, share it like a cigarette in the old days. If you have a car with juice, run it outside for 10 minutes to top your phone, not an hour. Don't waste. If your car is your only heat later, crack 2 opposite windows and face the tailpipe away from walls. Not now, later. Plan it. Paper plans matter. Write names and numbers on paper. If we lose the last of the cloud work, your mind will not remember under stress. Pen and paper do not crash. I'll log some truth from the last hour. Sirens to the west across the river. Then a thud like a transformer failed. Then quiet. A freight train rolled slowly through the valley at 6:42, horn once, then another horn 2 minutes later. That's not standard in my ears. Might be hand signals failing and the engineer playing it safe. If you're near tracks, assume trains are moving even if the crossings are dead. Never stand on rails to look for cell bars. You will not hear the heavy ones in this air. Hospitals in the city. Presby is on emergency power, triage at the covered drop-off. Mercy has ER open, but is sending non-critical home with printed sheets. Allegheny General is taking trauma only. That's today at 7 a.m. It might change by 9 a.m. Pharmacies. I have confirmed with 2 techs that select stores are opening the doors for 1 hour around late morning to hand out basics. Insulin, seizure meds, heart meds, cash only, 1 month max, scripts or bottles as proof. No promises. If you are in line and someone in front collapses, we stop and lift. Then we go back to being tough. That's the rule. We keep the weak alive, so we deserve to call ourselves a city when this turns. I'm opening lines. The patch is ugly, but it works. First call is a shortwave bounce with a voice I know from the night shift. "This is Alan," he says, and I can hear the grit in him. "Station Lincoln, Lima 47. I'm over in Lawrenceville, 4 blocks from you, Ev. The TV van I used to ride in is dead on a side street with the mast half up. We tried to play the governor's message on a loop off a battery. The file they sent was empty. The EAS encoder still spits the header, and then silence. There was a second file with a timestamp 2 hours after the first. Same name, same silence. Somebody up the chain is posting blanks. I ask him what he sees on Butler. People walking with paper masks. A guy with a pallet jack moving cases of water from a busted storefront across to the church steps. The priest is there, sleeves rolled, pouring into smaller jugs to spread it. Somebody tagged the word open on the pharmacy window in shoe polish. There's a woman at the corner holding a cardboard sign that says, "Pump milk." She's pointing to a small battery pump in a backpack and working like a machine. There's a line. No one's talking much. A kid tried to ride a scooter and his mom pulled him back like the asphalt was made of glass. He pauses. Then, tell people not to use candles if they have a choice. We took a little kitchen fire out on 45th at dawn. Open flame, tape on windows, low oxygen, bad mix. You heard him. Candles look romantic in stories. In real life, they eat air and start trouble. Use flashlights, headlamps, or if you're out of those, crack a chem light. If you have to use a candle, one at a time, in a bowl, on tile, away from cloth. Don't sleep with it. Don't carry it room to room like you're in a dream. You will trip. You will knock it. You will be sorry. Text from Greer, Detroit, 48209. Hearing helicopters all night. Ambassador Bridge closed both ends. Siren at refinery, then none. Water light brown. We have neighbors swapping cartridges. Is wind from the south? Feels weird. Tell people not to pour bleach straight into the throat of the filter. Someone did, and we all coughed. Greer. Wind in Detroit was north to south around midnight, now trending west to east. Keep the cloth on the door. If anyone has a backyard weather gizmo in Dearborn, send me your needle. If you have extra filter cartridges and you're hoarding them like baseball cards, ask yourself what you plan to do with them if your neighbor goes down with a fever and stops breathing. You can't use 10 at once. Keep 2 more than you need and pass 1 to the door on your left. Next call is GMRS from a man with a voice like gravel. Name's Ron. I'm outside of Paducah, Kentucky. We seen a flash way downriver last night. Low. Not the big one. This was like someone lit a sun behind the trees and then took it away with a hand. A buddy says it was a sub-launched or a bunker buster or something. I don't know. I was Army, but I fixed fuel pumps. I went to the Walmart at 5 and it was shut with 2 employees sitting on the curb, crying. They said they didn't get a code to open safe. Truck stopped. We went home. A neighbor started his generator and then stopped after a minute. He said he could feel eyes on his fence. My wife asked me to put our phones in a metal cookie tin because she read that on the internet. I did it to make her feel better. The baby keeps grabbing at the air like there's dust we can't see. Ron, I don't know about your sky. I know about people. Your neighbor's generator will be useful 2 days from now to run a fridge for an hour and save milk for 10 families if you plan it that way. Set a schedule. Post it on cardboard at the end of the street. Fridge hour, 12 to 1. Bring your perishables. Put a sign-up sheet so you don't draw a crowd. Every crowd is a seed for something we don't want. As for the tin, if it makes your wife breathe easier, it's worth the cookie tin. Fear needs a lid sometimes. We put one on it, then we get back to work. Insider note. I got a text on the back channel from someone using a government domain that still resolves every 10th try. It says, "Continuity sites are manned. We are not dead. Raven and weather active. Cheyenne is spinning. We are limited by comms, not by will. Tell people to stay off interstates if they don't have a specific safe destination with fuel to spare. Stray units are securing rail lines for supply. Do not gather on overpasses. You look like targets from the air. I can't verify the sender beyond the header, but the tone matches other fragments. If you're hearing this in the hills and you were thinking of standing on a bridge to film the emptiness, don't. Emptiness is not proof. It's bait for your fear. Now, a teaching minute, fast and plain. Fallout basics for the people who never wanted to think about it. The stuff we worry about is dust, not fire. It falls faster close in, slower far away. The first hours are worst. Every hour you spend inside in a spot with more stuff between you and the sky is better than an hour you spend at the window. Use books, water jugs, bags of dirt from a planter, boxes of tiles, anything dense. Stack them around a space you can stand. This is boring. Boring is life. Make it a game for kids. Build the wall that keeps the dragons out. Dragons are easier words than numbers. If you have to go out, do it when the air is still, not when the wind is kicking dust off roofs. Strip at the door when you come back. Bag the clothes. Wipe skin with a damp cloth, and then sit and breathe slow until your hands stop shaking. Then drink water you saved before you left. If you're out of water, remember that the water heater in your basement is a tank with some gallons. Turn off the power and the gas to it if you can, close the valve at the top, open the drain at the bottom, and fill pots. Don't burn yourself. I'm going to read some names. Names are the map we draw when the maps on our phones won't load. Jenna in Omaha says she's in a church basement with 30 people and 4 dogs. There's a nurse there named Arturo who is doing blood pressure checks with a cuff he found in a drawer. He needs batteries for a headlamp and tape. If you're near South 55th and Center and you have tape, they'll meet you at the side door at 9 o'clock with masks on. Knock twice. Say, for Arturo, leave it, and go. Don't linger. Don't crowd. Don't turn a help drop into a hangout. Lisa in Camden says the pet shelter took in 20 more than usual, and they're out of dry food by tonight. If you're a person who bought 3 months of dog food because of a coupon and you can spare 1 bag, tape a note that says, for North 5th Street Pets, and leave it with your number if you need it back later. You won't get it back, but you might sleep better knowing you kept a dog from howling all night while its kid tried to be brave. Now the pain part. I'm not going to turn away from it. A text from M-, no name given, New York, Queens. We saw a tower go off like a match. Not ours, far. The subway stopped and people walked. A man kept yelling that this is it, and a woman told him to shut up, and then she held his hand, and they walked together. I got home and my grandma asked me where the radio was. I said we have Spotify. She looked at me like I was 5. I found an old radio in a closet. It works. Your voice is thin, but it's there. If you're in a house that forgot radios, dig. They hide in closets under board games, in garages next to tangled extension cords, in bottom desk drawers under dead pens. They run on AA or D or weird 9 volts that taste like copper if you test them with your tongue, which you should not do, but you will. A short block of rumor control. No, You cannot smell radiation. You can smell smoke, burned plastic, odd chemical tang from wrecked things. Don't let a smell talk you into panic math. Look at wind. Look at ash. Check on someone. No, pouring milk in your eyes will not help. No, the government did not open FEMA camps behind the high school overnight. A line of trucks is not a camp. It's a line of trucks. Yes, someone is going to try to sell you anti-rad bracelets or silver water out of a van. Don't trade meds for junk. Keep your meds for people with prescriptions. If you have extras from a family member who passed, now is the time to bring them to a nurse at a church or school with a note listing what they are. Do not be the hero who guesses at someone else's dose. Write it down. Let the nurse choose. I'm tired. You can hear it. My hands shake. There's a film on my teeth from too much coffee and not enough sleep, and the taste of smoke in the air that seeps through every pinhole like it's a living thing. But I'm still here, and I know you are too, because the board lights stutter in a pattern that looks like hope to someone who stares at meters. If I get maudlin, forgive me and tune it out. I'll pivot back to practical fast. I keep thinking about a field trip I took in 3rd grade to the science center. They had a machine that turned sand into shapes with a light above it, and when you moved the sand, the colors changed to show height and depth. That's us now. We're moving the sand by hand and watching the colors shift, and we have to make a safe valley in the middle where the kids can sit and the old can breathe. We do it by being exact about small things. Tape, water, heat, quiet strength, good lies. It's going to be okay. Don't help as much as good lists. A call from a voice that's trying not to break. This is Victor in Toledo again. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cry last time. I got my neighbor to come in. We shut the upstairs vents. We have 6 gallons of water between 3 adults. There's a boy. He's 8. He asked me if the sky is poison. I told him it's just dirty. Is that a lie I can tell? Victor, it's not a lie. It's a shield. He needs to know 2 things. He is not in trouble, and someone is doing something. Give him jobs. Count the bottles. Tear the tape pieces. Make the bathroom in a bucket. Sit safe by the door with a liner and a bit of kitty litter if you have it. Kids who have jobs don't go looking for fear. When the hour passes and the air feels the same, give him a sticker or a marker dot on the wall chart. When you have 10 dots, you both get a cookie. That's how we turn hours into a ladder. Insider theory, and then I'll get off the soapbox and back to calls. A person who says they used to sit in a windowless room at Offutt told me by text that the early wave tried to blind our eyes and cut our voice and break our hands all at once. Eyes, space, and radar. Voice, fiber and core nodes. Hands, power and ports. He said the who is less important today than the how, because the how tells us what they'll try next. He said, they'll try to make you think you're alone. That's the kill shot, so we do the opposite. We make noise, not panic noise, steady noise. Check-ins on the hour, notes on doors, chalk on sidewalks with arrows to clean water, flyers on poles that say, 9 a.m. block, meet in lobby. Bring your list. No yelling. We invent a dial tone with our mouths. It's 7:49. I'm going to push a block of quick hits from texts. Then we open the line to a nurse who's been waiting. Cleveland, West Side. Wind shifted north at 7:20. Brown ash on porch rail. Wearing mask outside. Kids coughing less indoors. Harrisburg. National Guard convoy eastbound on 322. 15 trucks, 2 fuelers, 1 wrecker. No sirens. Charleston, SC. Port cranes idle. Smell like rubber. Battery-powered air monitor at school shows elevated for particulates, not radiation. Still helpful. Phoenix. Heard EAS at 6:30 local, said shelter, then cut. Grid still up in some neighborhoods. Gas stations cash only. Lines long, people mostly calm. Boise. Dark. Quiet. A man yelled at people who were filling jugs at the river at dawn. We pointed him to the church spigot. He cried and said sorry. Okay. Nurse time. Name is Katrina, the voice says. Calm, clipped. I'm in Columbus. I'm a home health nurse. I have 10 patients I can't reach. I have a bag with gauze, gloves, tape, 2 IV start kits, and a blood sugar meter with 20 strips. I can walk to 3 of them today. I can't do all 10. I need to say something to the others if they're listening. Go, Katrina. This is for anyone on insulin who's down to days. Eat steady, smaller portions, less carbs if you can. Don't skip food to save it. Low blood sugar can kill you faster than high right now. If your meter dies or you're out of strips, watch for shaking, sweat, fast heartbeat, confusion for low. If that happens and you can swallow, drink juice or eat honey, and then eat something a little more solid. If you're high, thirst, peeing a lot, blurred vision, small sips of water, keep moving a little, not too much. Don't do big swings. For blood pressure, if you're out of meds, sit with legs uncrossed. Breathe in for 4, out for 6, over and over when you feel the pulse in your ears. It helps more than you think. For wounds, clean with the cleanest water you have. Pat dry. Cover. Don't seal it in wet. For babies on formula, if you're stretching, err toward clean water over exact mix if you have to choose. Don't thicken it with cereal. That's for a later world. Bless you, Katrina. If anyone in Columbus hears this and has wheels and a tank they can spare without risking their own, text me a cross street and the word Katrina. We'll patch you. Keep it tight. No hero parades. A man named Yusuf in Patterson texts. We have a basement grocery with shelves intact. Owner is letting 10 in at a time. He takes cash app when it flashes, IOUs written on a clipboard. He writes names and apartment numbers. He trusts. People are paying. He has lentils for days. Tell people lentils cook faster than beans. Consider it told. Lentils win the fuel math. Rice plus lentils plus a pinch of salt can carry a street if the street shares. Another message, and I can feel your anxiety rise because this one is heavy. Seattle. Saw a glow to the north that didn't look like city light. We don't know what hit where. Fairy horns at odd times. Phones show SOS sometimes. Costco handing out water in the parking lot from a pallet with a forklift that kept dying and then starting again. People line up and don't push. Someone plays a guitar quietly. It helps. My kid asked me if schools will open. I said yes, and I meant it, even if they look like basements for a while. We will have school. It will have no bell, no football game, no cafeteria pizza. It will be a room and a circle, and a book and a pencil stub, and a woman who used to teach math at a real desk saying, "Okay, turn to page 1, write your name, and show me how you add when your hands are shaking." That counts. It counts more than anything on a standardized test you forgot to recycle. I need to talk about force for a minute. People with guns, people with badges, people with neither. You will see all 3. If you have a firearm and you're not trained, put it away unless the door is breaking. A gun in the hands of a tired person is an accident with a trigger. If you are trained, carry with a round count you can live with and a mind like ice. If you have a badge, remember, we will remember how you used it. If you have neither, Remember, we outnumber any gang by 100 to 1 if we use eyes and phones and block lists. We do not need a militia to stop a bully. We need a porch light and 3 people on a stoop and a 10-second video in a calm voice that says, "Not here. Don't go looking for fights. The fights will come to you if you advertise chaos." We advertise order with tape and lists and times on paper. It's boring. It saves. It's 8:21. I have a small list of actual open places in my city from people who walked there and looked. If you're in another city, make the same list and tape it in your lobby. Bloomfield. Pharmacy on Liberty opens 10 to 11 a.m., handing out refills for heart meds and insulin only. Cash. Bring bottle or photo. Lawrenceville. Church on 45th handing out water 9 to 11 a.m. Bring container, 1 gallon per person. Garfield. Community Center has a nurse table 12 to 2 p.m. Glucose checks, blood pressure, wound checks. Polish Hill. Corner store selling dry goods for cash. Limits posted. 2 rice, 2 pasta, 4 cans per household. Owner will take IOUs from known faces. East Liberty. Large grocery closed. Manager says maybe open lot for distribution if a truck arrives. Don't camp there. It draws trouble. If you go, go in 2s, not 10s. Don't bring kids if you can avoid it. Don't carry a backpack that looks full if you can stash your stuff in a rolling cart that looks like laundry. Do not flash cash. If someone follows you, walk to a cluster of people and stand in it and wait until they give up. If it feels ugly, it probably is. Trust that part of your brain that has been yelling at you since the old days when a shadow on the trail meant a cat. I'm getting pings from ham operators in places we haven't named yet. Amarillo says wind is steady out of the west. Visibility good. Radio clear. Baton Rouge says tank farms smell sharp, but the air is moving north. Providence says the downtown hospitals are open to walk in for now. Triage at the door, stairs only. Flagstaff says the sky looked like a smear to the west overnight. Maybe LA or the coast, not sure. Power steady, shelves thin. If you're in those cities, send a confirmation or correction. We're crowdsourcing a map with pencils. A quiet voice I almost miss. This is Elsie in Wheeling. I'm 91. My husband was civil defense in the 60s. He kept a kit. We used some last night. We have a hand crank radio. It works. We have neighbors in the basement. The boy from next door read the manual out loud, and we laughed because the pictures look old. We're okay. We need coffee if anyone has instant. I'm not kidding. Elsie, if anyone in Wheeling is hearing this and can spare instant coffee, write Elsie on a paper cup and leave it on the first step of her building at noon. Don't knock. She will probably be napping like she earned the right to nap while the rest of us learn new tricks. If you also have sugar, tape it to the cup. Let an old woman's morning taste like her past. Another insider note, short and sharp. NORAD tracks show multiple air lanes quiet that should hum. That can be good. It can mean no new launch. It can be bad. It can mean the web we used to watch is torn. Advise people to plan for 72 hours of low movement. After that, trickle of supply if rail holds translation for street use. Don't plan to leave today. Don't plan to leave tomorrow. Pack if it calms you. Stay if you don't have a sure line. People stuck on highways yesterday slept cold and scared and gave up gas for heat and got nothing back but a cough. I need to talk about grief because it's here, and you're trying to cram it under a rug while you count batteries. If you lost someone last night, or you think you did because the last text was, "We're on the bridge," and then nothing, you are going to want to run until your feet split. Don't. Breathe. Write their name on paper. Say it out loud. Sit, drink water, eat a bite, then do one small thing for someone near you, then another small thing for yourself. We honor the dead by staying alive long enough to build a place to say their names right, with a roof that doesn't leak. The street will have time for tears later. For now, we stack boxes and tape plastic and put pots under drips and make charts and set watches, and we do not surrender to the howl. It's 8:58. Top of the hour check-ins in 2 minutes on GMRS 462.675 for close range. If you're new, key up. Say city, head count, needs, offer, then clear. Short and plain. Shady side, 6 adults, 1 infant, need formula, have tape. We'll read the ones we catch and repeat back. If you don't hear your voice, it still helped. It told me you're there. If you're farther out, go to 7.490 megahertz. I'll bounce between the bands as best I can. If you are running a neighborhood net, pick a time, 9, 12, 3, 6, and stick to it. Don't stay on all day. Radios draw power. People draw patience. Schedule saves both. Quick gear tip before the hour. If your car has a tire inflator that plugs into the cigarette port, it can also push air into a cheap air mattress if you need to put kids to sleep on a floor away from windows. That keeps them in the safe core and lets you stack boxes high around them. If you have a roll of foil, you can pinch it over window edges like a gasket under your tape. If you have painter's tape, that's better than nothing. It peels without tearing paint later. If all you have is packing tape, use it now and worry about walls in a world with repair shops. 9 a.m. Check-ins rolling. I hear you. South Side, 5 adults, 2 dogs, need baby wipes, have extra bleach. Highland Park, 3 seniors, need blood pressure meds, have 2 propane camp stoves. Homestead, 12 in basement, have water, need diapers, size 3. Braddock, 8, have skills. Carpenter, nurse assistant, 2 high schoolers who can haul, need rice. Millvale, 10, have generator with 2 gallons, need chain for gate. I'm logging. If you can meet needs, text me and I'll say a street corner and a time without names. We don't put targets on backs. If you are the one with diapers, fold them in a grocery sack with rolls of tape to make it look like junk. Walk like you're bored. Drop, nod, go. If you have a chain for a gate, write Mill Vale on a tag and leave it on the 3rd post of the park fence at noon. Don't wave it around like a prize. Quiet help is help that doesn't wake wolves. My brain wants to chase big maps with arrows and flags. My heart tells me to finish my street first. I'm choosing my heart. It doesn't mean I'm blind. It means we get to live long enough to read the map when the map is more than smoke. One last voice before we close this part of the morning. I'm Sam in Duluth. Lake Superior looks calm. That feels wrong. We saw northern lights at midnight, and then they went out, like someone pulled a sheet over the sky. Power dipped and came back. We have a freezer full of venison and no generator. We're cutting and cooking and handing it out on porches to whoever comes by. People are bringing jars. It feels like the old time, and I wasn't alive for that, but my granddad's stories are